Monday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing. HudcoRoofing.com. Hope you're having an awesome day. Is this not? Okay, we're ready. We're rolling here. Oh, yeah, we're live. Okay, good. Sorry, my apologies there. Right, y'all. Saints win. Who dat? How about it, man? Saints go and beat Washington 33-22. Nice road win, especially in a game where you have not one but two first quarter turnovers. The play-by-play at the beginning of the game for the Saints was just bonkers. You throw a pick on your first possession. You give up the field goal. Great job by the Saints defense to hold the field goal. You get the ball back. 3 plays, 75 yards, the deep ball to Deontay Harris. You hold Washington to another field goal. Great red zone defense there by the Saints. You get the ball back, you fumble. And then they score. And so now you're down 13-7. But, man, from that point on, it was awesome. Saints get the touchdown. And then Paulson Adebo gets this sequence was so impressive. Paulson Adebo gets the pick at the 1 yard line. Saints can't move it. They punt out of the back of their end zone. The defense holds on a 4th and 14. And so the Saints get the ball back in better field position and then punt. And Gillikin punts one out of bounds at the 1 yard line, which basically completely flipped the field over the course of 2 possessions. And that's what allowed the Saints to get the Hail Mary at the end of the first half, which was awesome. And then, of course, they did work in the second half, which was really cool to see. So a lot of punts to begin, but, Saints ended up scoring on back-to-back fourth quarter possessions. So great to see, man. They needed that one. Talked about it all along. Just needed to get to the bye at 3-2. And that was without Taysom Hill and Deontay Harris, who both got hurt in the game. Just needed to get to 3-2 going into the bye. Yes, should be 4-1 if they didn't blow it against New York. But 3-2 going into the bye, it's exactly where we said they needed to be. You're going to come off that bye. You're going to get Taysom and Deontay back healthy. You're going to get Mike Thomas back. You're going to get Will Lutz back. By the way, Cody Parkey, we barely knew that he misses 2 extra points. Jesus. Anyway, nice win for the Saints. Panthers lost yesterday. So, the Saints did what they needed to do. All right, let's see. Say some good mornings here. Hey, Dad, good morning. Truax, what's up? Kelly Presley, Jerry DeLucky. At least the Saints saved the weekend. Yesterday was a lot of fun, man, no doubt. I had a good day yesterday. Went and celebrated Gramps' 89th birthday. Watched the Saints win. Got to go watch my nephew Eli play a little football for St. Jude over at Calachi. They played at the field at Catholic, so that was fun. A little Sunday night football. Did a little grilling in the outdoor kitchen. So really good day, man. Hope you all had a great day yesterday as well. Made up for a crappy Saturday night. Gray Schuler, John Hilburn, good morning. Darren Straub, good morning. Bama lost, I'm happy. What's up, Chad? Good morning. Red Sox still in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm not even watching. Give me NFL. Charlie Cavell, what's up? Brian Andy Penton, good morning from Como. Who dat? So embarrassed for our state. Our fans, I would ask Saban all. Yeah, well, Saban's not coming back, Brian. And that's okay. Saban's also 70, and although I maintain he's made a deal with the devil and is going to coach until he's 374, I just trust Scott Woodward. I trust Scott's going to I trust he's far down the road and is going to do well. Sean Comiskey. Morning, Matt. Game Corn was rocking over the weekend. I wish I would have bought more. Saints defensive backs were on fire yesterday. Saints DBs were awesome. And yes, a lot of great momentum for Game Coin. And if you thought this weekend was fun, wait for this week. Jeff McKiffin, what's up? Brian, can do is say no. Gillikin was the best player of game 3 down. 3 down inside the box. Blake Gillikin got a game ball. Not sure if you heard that, but I was listening to Sean Payton's post-game press conference, and they gave Blake Gillikin a game ball. He deserved it, man. Three punts inside the 10. Yeah, man. I mean, consistently, I don't think I've ever heard Sean Payton gush that much over a kicker. So as hard as it was to, or punter, hard as it was to say goodbye to Thomas Morstead, man, they knew what they had waiting in the wings, which is awesome. Let's see. Kerry Hughes, who are your personal top 3 favorite to replace Ed? It's a difficult question, Kerry, because I have been hearing the names that are on the list now for more than a month, and I don't know that I can reprogram myself to not know that. You know what I mean? I've more considered which of the names that are being considered am I okay with. Like, I would be okay with any of the 4 that I've mentioned. I think Hugh Freeze would do. I think he would crush it here. I don't think realistically he's going to get a chance. A lot of people have mentioned Mario Cristobal. I could be okay with that. I'm a little hesitant that you might be walking down the same path you're down right now with Ed Orgeron, with a guy who hasn't been a coordinator. Really did not do well as his first head coaching stint at FIU, but then went to Saban and, was his assistant head coach. So he has some of that Saban tree vibe, but a great recruiter and a line coach by trade. So, I don't know if that answered your question. Christopher Merrill, what's up? Raid Abdel Majid, good morning, LSU Fire head coach. That's going to happen. I really wish that it had happened yesterday, and it didn't. And I think the lack of an obvious choice to be interim head coach is the reason that they haven't fired Ed. But you go out this Saturday against Florida and get rocked. It's really one of those things where it's like, how much longer can you actually put it off? Maybe to the open date. All right. Like the page, share the post on Facebook, YouTube. Smash that like button, please. 55 watching, 16 likes. We can get that up a little bit. Trivia, good morning. I actually said God morning, but yes, God morning. Tim Gotro, morning. Nice to see at least one of our head coach make adjustments to play calling, game management, road win this weekend. No doubt, Tim. Flip side of that, remember, Sean Payton completely gagged away the win a week ago against the Giants. So they all have their day, but Sean Payton, yes, by and large, has been awesome, one of the best coaches of this era. And great to see the win yesterday, even with so many players injured. Pat Huseman, trivia game going to the moon. Indeed. It's exciting. I think Gamecoin will hit a penny today. This week should be fun. Where are we? Black Monday. No, Pat, if they were going to fire Ed Orgeron, they would have done it yesterday. But, I mean, I'll recap this again for y'all, but essentially, beginning of last week, it was made pretty clear to me that Scott Woodward, his MO, is not to fire coaches during the season. That was not going to happen. By the middle of the week, it had gotten so toxic that it was leaning toward, they lose and lose ugly, they're going to fire Ed, Mickey Joseph is going to be the interim. And I don't know what changed, but by Saturday evening, at halftime, I was texting with a few people, and it essentially was made clear like they're not confident in any of the interim head coach options, and so they're going to stick with it for now. But how much more can you take, really? Kirk Taylor, Jason Austin, George Reitmeyer. So did Coach O seriously cuss out the video staff over hype video Saturday before Kentucky? Brown Bear 765. Morning, Matt. Glad we had that Saints win to get the bad taste out of my mouth. The post-game press conference had me laughing. What happened in the post-game press conference? I guess I need to go back and watch it. Let's see. Thomas Lamont. Morning, Matt. Orgeron feels like his own interim coach right now. He has plenty of experience in that role. Certainly was better in that role. Jesse Brown. Morning, Matt. Do you think Hill will be back after the bye week? Jesse, I would think so. I mean, he obviously sustained a concussion. I mean, that was a brutal hit. But it's one of the reasons why the bye does come at a good time. Deontay Harris's hamstring, Taysom Hill's concussion. You should get back both Eric McCoy and Teron Armstead. You should have Michael Thomas will be eligible to return. You should have Will Lutz. Quan Alexander should be back. And then one more week after that, you get David Onyemata back. So, I mean, you are going to look, Traquan Smith, you are going to look whole after the bye. Let's see what that Saints team looks like. Let's see. Nicholas Nettles, love the content. I'm subscribed to all your channels. Thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, if y'all are watching on YouTube and you're not yet subscribed, do us a solid there. Remember, you also got the After Further Review Saints and LSU channels as well for all of our AFR content. Brooke Bordeaux, good morning. Lawrence Burley, good morning. PTG Toasty. Jason Mobile, Kickers had a rough day. Oh, my God. The end of the Bengals-Packers. Man. Crosby and McPherson. Nobody wanted to win it. Bummer for the Bengals, man. Joey B in the squad. Dale Broussard, Bama lost, fired the coach. Yeah, when you lose like once every 3 years, I don't think they're necessarily going to fire the coach for that. Living Lambo. I get he doesn't have a big leg, but Parkey missing extra points while Cole Tracy doesn't have a job is laughable. I mean, listen, man, you can keep banging that drum, and I love Cole. Got to see Cole in out when we were out in LA. That's just not going to happen. I mean, it's just not. Like, you've got to be, and also I think Cole has moved on in life. I don't even think he's still kicking. I mean, it's been 3 years, so anyway, I'm with you, but that was also very predictable. Like, there's a skill set that NFL teams look for because not only do you have to be able to have accuracy, you have to have leg strength to attempt long field goals, and then you also have to be able to kick off. So, Ken Folk 76, good morning. Jason Austin, Coach O for Governor. Oh God. Jeffrey Parrott, Moore and Scone. Can we just let Winston be Winston? Interceptions be damned. Throw bombs from now on. And even the interception, I'm not sure if y'all saw, but there's a screen grab that Jeff Duncan took. On the interception, Andrews Pete is stepping on his foot. When you see that, it's pretty obviously why he threw an interception. Like, his front plant leg, Andrews Pete is just standing on it. So, and the fumble, I get it. Like, have better awareness, protect the football. Ramchick really had a rough game, man. For as great as he has been, he had a rough game yesterday. He had a really tough time with Chase Young. Hey, Janet, good morning. Let's see, hate the thought of Hugh Freeze. I may have to find a new school if that happens. You know, Janet, I put it to you this way. if your objection to Hugh Freeze is that he cheated on his wife, I won't condone that. Please don't misunderstand me. But if that's your standard for coaches, it's going to be a pretty lonely classroom when you're calling roll. I mean, look at the guy who we thought was All-American husband and dad, like Les Miles. Turns out he was creeping on student workers and having inappropriate relations. I mean, you know what I mean. So I understand. You know. But most everyone has skeletons in their closet. I mean, if we're being very legitimately honest, I mean, Ed Orgeron has a past of abuse, of alcoholism and abuse toward women. Like, let's see, how realistic is James Franklin? I mean, I guess back to the point about Freeze. Freeze is a brilliant offensive-minded coach. He's one of the SEC. Like, I know he could win here at a high level, and I tend to believe that he's a good man that made some poor choices, paid for them dearly, and is trying to rehabilitate his image and his life. Let's see, how realistic is James Franklin? I mean, as far as getting him here, I think that's very realistic. He makes about 5.5 at Penn State. It's really a question. He's from the state of Pennsylvania, so does he want to stay at Penn State, or would he be looking to move on? Considering Penn State has not competed for a national championship in, that 94 team with Kerry Collins. I guess 99 was really the last great Penn State team, with LeVar Arrington and Courtney Brown and all those guys. And I think they lost to Minnesota, and it wrecked their national championship opportunity. I think they lost that game and then spiraled. I think they're preseason number one. Anyway, I guess my point is, it's been a long time since Penn State's been national championship relevant. Let's see, Cliff, good morning. Gulf South, since Jimbo isn't one of the four you've named, I assume he's not a possibility. I wouldn't rule that out. I don't think there's any doubt that, considering Woodward and Jimbo's relationship and also Woodward and Jimmy Sexton's relationship, that you have that conversation. I think the bigger issue there, Gulf South, is what it would take to get him here. He just got a bump to $9 million per year. Is LSU prepared to go north of $10 million per year to bring Jimbo Fisher here from A&M? I don't know. I can't say definitively that that's what they would do. Nicholas Cantrell, good morning. Kirk Taylor, Matt, opinion on the Saints all-white uniform. So, Kirk, I love the color rush. Love the color rush because you have enough accents. You have the stripe down the pant leg. You have the stripes on the shoulders. I love the gold numeral instead of the black. The color rush whites are, in my opinion, the best uniform in the NFL. The Saints color rush whites are the best uniform in the NFL. And yes, I'm completely biased, but I would put that in an argument among anybody's top 5 best uniforms in the NFL. The ones they wore yesterday are way too bland. Way too bland. Don't like them. Cliff Nelson, got 2 words for you. Dallas Cowboys. I have 1 word for you. Overrated. Congratulations, you beat the Giants with a backup with Mike Glennon at quarterback. Irfan Sayad, good morning. Brooke Bordeaux, I get their reservations, but is O really even recruiting for us at this point? He seems beyond checked out. Just my personal opinion. Yeah. Here's the problem with someone like Ed as well. When you have a loose cannon like that, there's always the possibility that he just goes scorched earth and tries to bring the whole damn ship down with him. Rapid batches, I say let the man finish the season, not making the playoff anyway. So that's easy to say, but how much more can things unravel, right? Like, especially, like, what happened last week was very toxic. Like, Ed knows it's done, and so then Monday he walks out of the press conference. Wednesday he makes the crack he did on his radio show. Thursday at the end of his press conference he makes a joke like, "Is that it? You sure, everybody? That's all?" Like, he knows it's over, so he has a "I have nothing to lose" mentality, and that's dangerous. Because then you wonder, like, what might he do on the way out the door that could potentially create a bigger issue or irreparable harm, sort of thing. Tad Page, good morning. Old Soul Gidry, one question I don't think has been asked. What's the mood and morale in the locker room? It's divided. There are some players that are loyal to Coach O. Who he brought them here, recruited them, and there are others that divide was created last summer and it never healed. Eric Wilderrod, a great win by the Saints. Kamara, second in the league in touches, has me worried long term. Yeah, Eric, I understand that. But I'll also say that this happened at the beginning of the season last year when Mike Thomas had his ankle injury. Once you get other weapons back in this offense and everyone's healthy, the burden on Kamara reduces. The 26 rushing attempts last week was the bigger concern for me. Let's see. Trivia, when are you quitting? When are you quitting? He's talking about GameCoin. I don't know, man. Not any time in the immediate future, but suffice to say, at this rate, I don't think I'll be doing radio another 20 years. Whew. On a side note, took my son to AMC Theater to watch Fury Wilder fight. Oh, that's cool. Best experience I've had watching a fight. Was cheaper than buying the pay-per-view. That's really cool. I didn't even know they were doing that. That's a really good idea. I mean, I couldn't do it obviously because of the football game, but yeah. Jamal Lewis, good morning. Jason Austin, this embarrassment that's going on right now at LSU is going to cripple us in recruiting if we don't make serious changes now. That's the other part of it, Jason, where, if you do make a move, there's less ambiguity. The remaining staff can talk to the current commits and tell them, hey, look, hold on, we don't know. At least then and then, other schools aren't negatively recruiting, say, hey, is your guy going to be there or not, sort of thing. Let's see, Kerry Hughes, you and I agree on Freeze, not because of my relationship with him. I convinced he would recruit Louisiana, bring back intensity of the Ole Miss rival, develop talent like crazy. He made Saban his offensive, change his philosophy in 2015. Kerry, I agree. I don't think it's realistic, especially in the Title IX world at LSU right now. But if they hired Hugh Freeze, I would 100% endorse it. Hang on one second. Drew Brees is Drew Brees. Drew's backpack is beeping. Drew Brees. All right. As always, shout out to Brock, y'all. Back in the clinic. Brock Rock and Wine, Saturday, October the 30th at the Renaissance Hotel. Of course, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Give us a shout, especially if you had ida damage. Maybe if you called your insurance company, you've gone through the process. Once your adjuster gives you your scope of work, give us a shout. We'll get it done for you. Preston Clark, morning. Harvey native, Lexington resident. Being at the game was excruciating. Worse yet, by halftime, you could feel the game was over. Tigers got whooped. Absolutely. It was 14-0, absolutely. Josh DeLee, did you get a chance to watch the Bengals-Packers? I was watching the Saints, but I did flip back and forth a bit. But primarily, I was watching the Saints. Sean Comiskey, Julian Phillips for Will Wade, or Wade basketball school now? Kind of feels like it, Sean. Basketball, baseball are going to be really fun this year. Look, women's basketball, you got Kim Mulkey. Of course, I mean, you always got Beth Torina doing her thing over there with softball. I mean, it's going to be a really fun spring. Winter, spring. Justin Reyes, is the offense making the same mistake week after week? More frustrating than watching less do Fournette left, Fournette right than punt. I think the biggest difference, Justin, is you actually can move the ball with this team, but you're limited in spots on the offensive line. I mean, look, the frustration's there, obviously, but the thing about Saturday more so is that your defense got run over. I mean, you gave up 330 rushing yards to Kentucky. I don't know what else to tell you. BG Hitter GM. I don't know what that means. Vino. Sorry, Matt. May not seem like an LSU fan, but I wasn't mad about the Kentucky loss as I was waking up, see Ed still there. Bama loss cured my problems. That's all right, Vino. Listen, man, I get it. People want change, and it's coming. The thing that I'll tell you is just trust Scott Woodward. Like, Scott isn't blindly leading this athletic department. He's a very smart, tactful man. There's 1,000 variables he's considering that we haven't thought of. And if he's not going to make the move, he believes it's for the best right now. I do question, you lose to Florida, you lose to Ole Miss. Like, at what point does enough become enough to where the head coach has lost the locker room, the team's no longer playing hard, and the fans have disengaged, and it's time to rip off the Band-Aid. Jason Sheffield, when is Lutz coming back? He's eligible to return now, but apparently wasn't ready, so I would assume after the bye he'll be there. Blake Abair, Chris Keller, update on Butte. No, we should get that today, hopefully. Caleb Bernard, Jameis actually does pretty good. All I can hear when I see him is, we strong, Jameis, we strong if you strong. We strong, man. Drew Breitling, Morning Scone. 2 quick questions. 1, who do you think Woodward has as front runner? 2, who would you pick? So, Drew, I have given you the 4 names that I have been told from people I trust. And they are, after the UCLA loss, several things happened that week. Number 1, I was sent Ed Orgeron's contract because of his lengthy termination for cause section. Number 2, I had his buyout terms clarified to me, which is a hair under $17 million for the whole staff. It would go north of 20. And number 3, I was told 2 names, Lane Kiffin, Bill O'Brien. After the Auburn loss, I heard 2 more names, Luke Fickell, James Franklin. Those are the 4 I've heard. And Scott Woodward aims big. That's not to say those are the only 4. It's not to say those are the top 4. It's not to say that's all that'll be considered, whatever. But remember what happened with Kim Mulkey. There wasn't this big extensive search where people are throwing out names and this and that. Like, you were hanging out on a Saturday and they announced Nikki Fargas was leaving for Vegas. The next day, they announced Kim Mulkey's the head coach. That's how Scott works. It's just gonna happen. Greg Parks, why the love for Bill O'Brien? I think, Greg, the fan narrative about Bill O'Brien is a little misguided. He was a terrible GM in Houston, but remember, as a college head coach at Penn State, he inherited a mess after the Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky firings, and did really well. So much so that got him an NFL head coaching job. Remember, he's also from the New England Patriots tree with Bill Belichick, and then he's currently Saban's OC. So there's a lot of connectivity that makes sense there. I think he was just a terrible NFL GM. He's a good head coach. Scott Fields. Let's see, Sean, Penn State was part of the cascading effect that led LSU to the national championship. In 2007? In 07? Remember when Pitt beat West Virginia? No. Sean White. Hugh Freeze arriving this morning? I don't think so, Sean. John Hilburn. Completely trusted Scott Woodward is in communication with Sexton and setting things up for quick postseason hire. John, I will tell. Well, first of all, Scott and Jimmy Sexton are like best friends. So these conversations started happening before the season started. Like when I kept telling y'all 9-3 to feel safe, 8-4 depends how it looks, 7-5 he's fired. Like, do y'all think I was just making that up? I mean, Scott always has a plan. He's always got his ducks in a row. Tony, that job at Penn State was one of the toughest when he took it, and he did well. He's in the conference now. That has made his learning curve smaller. Quarterbacks we have and the ones coming in would stay due to his past experience with quarterbacks, mainly Tom Brady. That's right, Tony. Sean White, how come I can't connect to GameCoin? It's thegamecoin.net. Thegamecoin.net is the website, Sean. And if you want to buy GameCoin, there is a tutorial how to buy it there at thegamecoin.net. Dax Jeter, question. I know that you are high on James Franklin, sensitive about coaches with Title IX issues in the past. The allegations Franklin covered up rape players at Vanderbilt concern you on him? That's a good question, Dax, and I hadn't even considered it. I would need to go back and refresh what happened with that story. Now that you mention it, that sounds vaguely familiar. Like I do remember there was a Vanderbilt player, if I remember, at maybe an off-campus house party. That was accused. I think they might have been acquitted. I need to go back and refresh myself with that story. Justin Hutchinson, don't know if true, and in the grand scheme, it's not important, but did Ed really lose it on the video guys pregame for that video? So I wasn't in the room, but I will tell you that I had two different people tell me that, yes, threw a chair against a wall and lost it because they played the wrong hype video, yes. But that's Ed. He's that guy. It's part of the reason I also picked them to lose to Mississippi State, because I heard a story about practice that week where he absolutely lost it on some support staff members for something so minor, and that's Ed Orgeron. Like that is his giant flaw. When things are going good, he can be your energy hype man. When things are going bad, the stress overwhelms him because he doesn't know how to handle it, and that's why I think things are just going to keep getting worse. Chuck Sanchez, what's up, Chuck? Get it? Up, Chuck? Ross Meir, by the way, YouTube, smash that like button if you would, please. 104 watching, 48 likes, smash that like button. Facebook, please like the page, share the post, appreciate y'all. Ross Meir, good morning, Matt. Saints and GameCoin carry the weekend, staying positive. It's going to be a fun week over with the GameCoin folks. Lots of good stuff coming there. Aaron Como, including a big announcement potentially this week on AFR. Good partnership. Excited about it. Aaron Como, good morning. Rusty said it all. Bama fans are saying it's time for Saban to retire. What's Ed's next job possibilities? Analyst at Alabama. I'd be interested to see if he got any other sniffs at a lower level head coaching job. Matt, did you hear anything about Jay Johnson's first practices? Yeah, they hit the hell out of the ball. Raiselman's their best arm. Need to develop the rest of the staff, but they're gonna be good, man. Dylan Landry, Greg Parks. Oh, the other kid from Peterson. Stevenson. I basically crushed the ball. Brock Pendarvis, whoever the new coach ends up being, do you think OC and DC are decided upon when the head coach decision is made? Yes, Brock. Every head coach should have the right to hire their own staff. So whoever the new head coach is will hire their staff. Hey, Glenda Blanchard, good morning. When did they make a change? Boy, I wish I knew. That answer changed 3 times last week. So, you know. I feel like Ed's a ticking time bomb, and you're always one blow up away from potentially having that happen. Jamie Hodges, good morning. Burberry, Wenoy Bradley, will he coach Saturday? It's hard to say at this point anything to the contrary, right? I mean, he's still in place, and they haven't made that move yet. So until they do, yeah, I would assume so. Let's see. Micah McClellan, if Coach O's fired, what's the fallout look like with recruiting, transfers, etc.? I think anytime you have coaching change, you have transfers. I think current players would wait to see who the next coach would be. And then it's on that coach to recruit the roster to stay. And then there would obviously be players that they wouldn't retain. But I'll repeat this, and this is important. The NCAA Division I Council last week approving the transfer leniency or the roster expansion is massive, because what that means is whoever the new coach is can sign 25. And then if they lose transfers, they can sign 1-for-1 up to 7 players. So theoretically, the next coach could sign 25 high school kids and 7 transfers if they lose 7, which if he needs to, he'll make sure they lose 7. You know what I mean? Arthur Blanchard, good morning. Rough weekend for the Tigers. Any chance of getting Urban? Arthur, what's been expressed to me is that this will be a scandal-free hire. Hard to imagine, considering what Herb went through there at Ohio State, and then this most recent kerfuffle, that would happen. Lewis Richmond, thanks, Matt, for always keeping us up to date on LSU football. Love your content, by the way. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate you watching. Kirk Taylor, AFR is going to be fire. Do I even need to prep today? Let's see. B. Weinman, these are the same people who think politicians have a conscience and integrity. Unfortunately, a lot of them all get lumped together. And it's deserved. Mike and Mary Hoggard, who knew? Coach O has been playing 4D chess all this time, not hiring a coach qualified to be an interim. So, Mike, there is legitimately something to that. I know you made the comment tongue-in-cheek, but there is very much there are people who are of the opinion that some of Ed's insecurity is shown in not wanting to have coaches on staff that are smarter than him. Which, I mean, that's everybody. But anyway, one of the reasons why he and Dave Aranda clashed very much. And he basically forced Dave Aranda out. I mean, I know you're making a tongue-in-cheek comment, but you're not wrong, actually. Spurge, what's up? Cliff Nelson. My issue with James Franklin, he never seems to be able to win the big games. Sometimes you have to have a roster to be able to win the big games, Cliff. Won a big one against Auburn. But I'm with you. I hear you. Mike the Tiger 24 TB. Colorless is my favorite. Should be one of the regular uniforms. I agree. It should be the road uniform. Kirk, want to know why the Saints hate the classic gold pants? Yeah, that's weird. I hate the black pants, by the way. I hate the white on black, and I hate the all black. I think that's a terrible look for the Saints. I prefer, when they're on the road, if they're going to wear an alternate colored pants, I prefer white on gold. But yeah, I wish they would burn the black pants. Hate them. Wanted Cincinnati to pull out that win so bad, I know. Jalen Carter, what are your thoughts on Cam Jordan's production? It's impossible to deny that he's on the downside of his career. He's been at it a decade. He's been a great player for a long time. He's still getting pressures. He's just not getting home. I forgot about Davenport. I mean, you need Davenport to come back, you know. Who was your best defensive lineman until he got hurt? He was dominant in that game. But so my friend in Kentucky says even from their perspective, it looks as though O has lost the team. I mean, that's easy. How much more can this unravel? Ricky Collins committed to Purdue over the weekend. The Woodlawn quarterback. Wasn't else kind of zoned in on him. So, Ricky Collins is interesting. Remember, okay, you've got, oops, sorry. I want to look this up just to make sure that I'm right so I don't misspeak. So, So Ricky Collins is a class of 2023 kid. So remember this. Like, so he goes to Woodlawn and Baton Rouge. So he's not this year, but next. You do have players in the city. So Collins is committed to Purdue. Kid from Zachary. Oh, damn it. His dad was the punter. Holstein is committed to A&M. Whoever the next coach is could certainly get in on those guys. And, of course, Arch is in New Orleans. But LSU has recruited well at the quarterback spot. Yes, of course, they got to get somebody. But I don't think Ricky Collins committing to Purdue is the thing that sends off giant red flags. If you want to get back in on that, you can. Matt going to be doing morning scones on the beach. Jabro Cox put a lick on Daniel Jones yesterday. Yes, he did. Let's see. Drew Brees' backpack is beeping. I slipped and said Drew Brees. So I was watching Drew Brees last night on the hour-long halftime show for Sunday Night Football. Randall Offrecht. Morning, Matt. Trying to get a tow up to the tire shop. I have 2 stripped lug nuts. That sucks. Sorry to hear that, man. Go to Shawbills. They'll take great care of you. Kurt, pivotal era in LSU. If LSU can't nail the hire and bring in a coach with some clout on the offensive or defensive side, LSU's in danger of losing their place with Texas and OU. First of all, we got to see when Texas and OU actually make it into the conference. And you're always one hire away. I don't have much anxiety about this hire because, like we've said a bunch, the last 3 head coaches here have won national championships. And when you're recruiting at LSU, you're recruiting a talent-rich state where you're the only game in town. You have so much to offer, facilities, resources. Scott's not going to make a reckless hire. Anyway. Manny Truncoso, morning, Matt. Thanks for keeping the information real. You got it, Manny. Thanks for watching, man. Jeremy Vise, Matt, can't help but be optimistic about the Saints. Missing half the O-line, 2 starting wideouts, 2 of your best D-linemen, and Alexander. Linebacker of Ohio State seems legit. Should be 4-1. Yeah, man. Talking about Pete Werner is continued to play well with Quan out. Put O back on D-line or recruiting coordinator. Yeah, that's just never going to happen. Stu 3, was it true after the Dolphins job, Saban wanted to come back to LSU and won the Natty? Well, I mean, Stu, I think he would have come back to LSU. The job wasn't available. And remember, LSU hadn't just won the Natty. Saban announced he was taking the Alabama job the day LSU played Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, he did have his Ole Miss replacement on staff. That's true. Well, not really, because Hugh Freeze didn't get the job then. It was Houston Nutt got the job after Orgeron, and then Hugh Freeze. What is the reason for keeping Coach on a sinking ship? Great question, Scott. If the AD knows he's not going to be there, well, let him continue to cause more harm. That's the question, right? But then the other thing to balance is who is the interim. They don't have an obvious choice. Like I've said before, I'm told if they go that route, it will be Mickey Joseph. But it's also very fair to ask, like, how much worse can it get? Ben Thompson should have headed on to Hendricks. You mean Hendrickson, Trey Hendrickson? Didn't have the money to pay him. And if you pay Trey Hendrickson, you don't pay Marcus Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, Brian Ramchick. You know what I mean? You got to decide. You can't pay everybody. Let's see. I guess I didn't think Coach O would be dirty and try to harm the program if given the rest of the season. But if that's the case, send him packing today. Oh, I believe he's the kind of guy that would try to take the whole ship down with him. He's that guy. I've told y'all before, man, in all my years of covering this athletic department, there are the two coaches who have been the most in tune with what was said about them in the way of being insecure. There's two that come to mind, and Ed Orgeron is at the top of the list. He is number one at the top of the list, and it's his insecurity because he knows he's in a job he doesn't really deserve. Let's see. Don Tomasino. I don't blame the players. It's a coach's job to put them in position to win. Don't turn your back on the players. Support them. Oh, yeah, Matt, you cursed me out Saturday for saying you were drunk. I wasn't. Honest to goodness, man. On Saturdays, I don't drink. I wake up. I take Drew to ride the elevators at work after we do morning Scone. I prep for Eagle game day. I go host 3 hours of Eagle game day. I come home, watch the first half of LSU. Then I go to Don Juan. I drink water for the second half. And then as soon as we start the show is when I light up my stogie and have my first pour. I have one, and I sit there for the 90 minutes and have one pour. So I'm really not drunk when we do whiskey and wine, honest to goodness. Brooke Bordeaux, I'd have to agree with you initially, but wrapping batches, but now seems beyond spiteful and makes me nervous. I think the move needs to happen ASAP. What do I know? Brooke, I agree with you. I mean, I said it Saturday, they should have fired him immediately. Because, look, even if you worry about all the off-field stuff, you could just very plainly look at what happened on the field. You gave up 330 rushing yards to Kentucky. You got absolutely whipped by Kentucky. It's over. I mean, it's over. Rip the Band-Aid off. Hamilton Keener, any chance LSU pulls the upset against Bama? No. Let's see. You can't do worse than O with Mickey at the helm. Logic doesn't make sense to me. They're losing with Orgeron. Seems like they could lose without him to avoid all of his BS. True, Darren. Jared Schuler. Wonder if he doesn't want to make a move with Coach O because the options for interim are coaches that he wants to remain on staff. No, that's not going to happen, Jared. Hang on one second. Drew's awake. You were listening to that show? Listening to that show? he goes, no. So Drew, you was at that show? No. Come say hi to Dad's show. Come see. Drew, come see. Drew, come. He goes, no. I don't have to hear it. Yeah, Jared. Woodward will let whoever's next hire his own staff. Christopher Dykes, what's up? Let's see. You think Woodward is waiting for the open date to give interim an extra week to adjust? Maybe. Like, that would make sense to do it then. But do you really want 2 more weeks of this? That's the tricky part, right? When you have conversations like we had last week, and then a loss like they had against Kentucky, and all of the ancillary stuff that's gone on, like the stuff with the video in the locker room and all that stuff. Like, what does 2 more weeks of that look and feel like? You know what I mean? Like, you really going to go through 2 more weeks of that? Let's see, who's the other coach that's self-conscious? Mullen Smart? No, I mean coaches I've covered at LSU. Like, in the whole of the athletic department at LSU. Like, since 2007 when I first started covering LSU sports. All the coaches and all the sports that we've covered, there's 2 that stand out as very, very insecure, very in tune with what's being said about them. very much need to be liked and need affirmation and all that sort of stuff. Drew's going to be upset if O isn't the head coach anymore. Let's see. Good point, Scott. He already hired a staff with no experience in their positions. If you have an interim with no head coaching experience, good point. Christopher Dykes, wonder if Woodward's waiting for O to screw up to save the millions. So, Christopher, I'll address that. And I feel like I have a bunch, but I'll continue to because I know more people will hear it and see it every day. But Ed's buyout is just a hair under $17 million. It is not. It does not drop after the season. It doesn't drop until the end of the year, the contract year, which I believe is in March. And you're not going to wait till March to fire your coach. So it's not about waiting for that. LSU absolutely can fire Ed Orgeron for cause. Like I mentioned, I have a copy of his contract. The termination for cause section of his contract is like 3/4 of the contract. I mean, it's massive. So your options would be fire him for cause, owe him nothing. Fire him for cause, negotiate a smaller number. Fire him for cause, Ed says, bleep you, I want all my money, and then takes you to court. And I think that's also a concern, is ain't nobody want to go to court. But Ed may do it because he's Ed. Derek Cropper, do you think Coach O finishes out the season? I do not, Derek. I would have said so last Monday, but I do not believe that anymore. Matt, this is how far we've gone. If we don't go 6-6, first time since 98-99, LSU's not been to back-to-back bowl games. Well, I mean, 99 was the last time LSU didn't go to bowl game for last year. But in fairness, they were bowl eligible last year. They just didn't go because of the sanctions, right? But yes, your point is well taken. I remember 98-99 very well. Let's see, Steven. Would be a bad move to have an interim coach have Alabama for their first game. Oh, that's a good point. Do you think it matters? I don't. It's at this point, it's what it is. Did LSU sign an extension with O after the Natty? Yes. O, from experience, will do something outlandish. Maybe Scott Woodward is waiting for him to once again talk about his fishing spot, take off his shirt, or have another blonde in bed selfie. All things that are embarrassing, yes. Brooke Bordeaux. Is the contract generally that long, or did Oliva do us a solid? No, remember, this is Scott Woodward. When they redid Ed after the national championship, Ed signed an extension, and this is the contract they signed after the national championship in early 2020. Let's see, who dat talking? Pete Werner's a beast. Pete Werner's playing very well. Wayne Inglade, if Woodward can get Peterson, then he can step right in without an interim. I get the sense, Wayne, that you're talking about Chris Peterson, who he hired at Washington, is not interested in coaching. Coach O is going to make this into a spectacle. LSU better lawyer up. Remember also LSU post-Title IX investigation fired its longstanding law firm, Taylor Porter. And so they have a new representation at whatever. Any update on NCAA or DOE at investigations? No. I can't wait for basketball to start and see if Coach O shows up at the game, see if they give him the Joe Oliva treatment. All right, y'all. Brock Pendarvis with OC and DC buyout. It's the remainder of their contract. Remember, assistants signed 2-year deals. So basically they would have the remainder of their contract, which is 1 year, which would be mitigated by any salary if they get a new job. Craig Duga, birthday is around the Alabama game. Would be a great gift for Ed to be fired after that game. Also, birthday burger would be a great gift, just saying. Chris Fullerton, Richie Burt, Mark Stoops is the coach for Kentucky. Nobody knows Mike Stoops. Did somebody say Mike? I'm sorry, I'm going backwards on here. Chris Fullerton, Todd Monken, no. We'll wait Eric right than Ed O'Hare. Oh, Chris Fullerton said Mike Stoops. Yeah. So Mike Stoops is Mark and Bob's brother, who was an assistant and was at one point the head coach at Arizona. Richie Burt, keep Orgeron through Alabama. Don't put that embarrassment on the interim coach. Darren Straub, you had more than one poor Wednesday. Oh, yeah. Wednesday night for Nightcap with Scone. I think I had. Look at that. All right, y'all, I think we're about done. A little bit of a later show today because Drew doesn't have school. So, hanging. I got a 9 o'clock Zoom meeting. Then I'm going to record Locked on LSU. We're going to record Scone and Tea today. So, new Scone and Tea podcast. If you're not subscribed, we really appreciate you subscribing to both Locked on LSU and Scone and Tea. All right, y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. As always, shout out to Brock. Both Brock and Hudco are tagged in the Facebook post. Brock Rock and Wine, great charity event coming up benefiting the Brock Foundation. That's on the open date, October the 30th. So y'all buy your tickets at brortho.com, brortho.com. And as always, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. All right, y'all, have an awesome day. See ya.